Welcome to Stephanie Vasquez, business owner of Fair Trade Cafe in downtown Phoenix. Could you tell us a little bit about Fair Trade Cafe and how you went about getting your idea started?
For sure. So I'm a native here. I grew up in Maryville. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the West Valley, but I grew up in Maryville, graduated from Maryville High School. Go Panthers. I was a very young mama and went to college here at ASU and was the first person in my family to graduate. And I had always wanted to be an educator. So that was my big end all be all dream that I was going to be a teacher. So 2004, I got my first set of keys to my classroom and I began teaching science to eighth graders at Santa Maria Middle School. And I loved it. I loved it. At no point in my life did I never thought I wanted a business. It never even crossed my mind because I was doing what I had always wanted to do. And that was being an educator and just being so connected to the community. So I continued to teach and with the summers off, I took a vacation and I had never been outside the country before. And I took a vacation. I went to Costa Rica. And in Costa Rica is where all the magic happened. And I went on normal, like touristy things. Like we went and saw alligators and we went zip lining and we went on to go see a coffee plantation. And I share this part because I think it's very important to entrepreneurs to understand that when I started my business, I knew nothing about coffee. I had no idea that it was even a plant. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was a substance in a cup that tasted delicious. That's all I knew. So we went on a tour of a coffee plantation, and that's where I was mesmerized, literally mesmerized by the interaction of the people cultivating the land. And then at the end, they handed over a cup of coffee. You did a cupping, so you got to taste a bunch of different coffees. And the way they handed it over was with such intentionality and with love and respect. I had never been handed over a cup of coffee like that ever in my life. And I started just thinking, like, what is this? And I started to dig a little bit and learned that coffee is not something that's cultivated here in the States. It's the second highest traded commodity next to oil. It's extremely exploitative. The people are exploited. The land is cultivated. The land that's cultivated is exploitative. All of it. The whole thing. It's almost bad, the way that it's done. And I just thought, like, I don't think people understand what they're supporting, because with every purchase, you're putting a chunk of your money somewhere, and it's supporting something. And I, just like I said, I continued to do some research, and I was like, everyone needs to understand what their personal impact on the environment, on sustaining our world, on the positive impacts that you can make. And it's not by doing a lot. You don't have to do a lot. You can do a little by getting a cup of coffee from somewhere that's supporting something bigger. And so that's where the cafe started. So in 2007, while teaching and a mama of two at the time, I decided to start a business, and I knew nothing about it. I knew absolutely nothing. I'd made a ton of mistakes along the way. However, here we are 14 years later in the background of a coffee shop.
You mentioned that you were a teacher before you started your business. Had teaching kind of prepared you for what it took to run a business?
Tell you right now that teaching prepared me for. I could teach in middle school. I can do anything. It really did prepare me organizational skills. It taught me so much, and I absolutely loved it. And I'd say the first 5 years. So I was teaching and doing the business for a while, and then the economical downturn happened, and I had to choose between letting the business go or teaching. So I chose to leave teaching. However, I had always thought that I was going to go back to teaching because I loved it, absolutely loved it. And it wasn't until maybe 5 years after I had left, I finally donated all my teaching resources to incoming teachers because I knew I wasn't going to go back at that point. So yes, it really prepared me. That life experience really prepared me for anything. And I think it set me up for success for sure.
What would you say are some of the values embedded in your business? I know that it's all of those ethics and sustainability is so important. How do you kind of put that forward in your business today?
It's every corner of my business is symbolic of that. The business was built with intentionality. Um, all of it, from hiring, from empowering the team, from creating an environment that is inclusive and safe for everyone, for absolutely everyone. um, so it's not just our products. Yes, our products are sustainable. Yes, I have people come and do research and they go through our trashes for days. And we were vetted a green business here in Phoenix, one of the first 5 green businesses in Phoenix. But that's not where it stops. Like everything, and I tell everyone, people will say, it's like, Stephanie, when I come into the shop, like I have this, there's just something about it, and I always laugh because it's love. And I tell everyone that, like, everything has been created from love, and it's not I have created it, it's that we have created it. Every person on both sides of the counter have been part of this process and this journey to make the business what it is.
So incredible. And like I said, I've been a patron at the cafe more times than I can count, and I can definitely speak to that. And I felt that every time I've been in there. It's a really, really special place.
Well, thank you for
Um,
saying that, because you can get your coffee here, or you can go to Starbucks, or you can go to Pete's, or wherever you want to go. However, each purchase that you're making allows a small business to stay alive, especially during the climate right now.
Speaking of coffee, could you tell us a little bit about your product offerings?
Yes. So 100% of any coffee that you have here at my shop is organic. It's fair trade certified, or it's direct trade. And a lot of people will say, "Well, Stephanie, what is fair trade?" And I love that question. I absolutely love that question, because that tells me that my work isn't done, because everyone doesn't know what fair trade is. And at the foundation of fair trade, what it is that people are being treated fairly. Because at the end of the day, it's the people that are working the land. So people are getting restroom breaks. They have a restroom to go to. They have running water. That they aren't being overworked. That they're getting paid a fair wage. And these are all things that we just kind of assume are happening, but they're not. They're not. In mass majority of environments surrounding coffee, majority of them are not being given those just humane rights that we believe that every human being should. And I proudly sip on my cold brew, knowing that no one was hurt, that everyone was respected, and that the land that was cultivated, there was no deforestation happening. I feel good about drinking my coffee every day.
How did you go about finding those suppliers that could provide that type of fair trade coffee?
14 years ago, there was only one. Sustainability wasn't quite as sexy as it is now. And I'm so grateful that it is now. It's definitely the sensation, and people want to know. I had a Yelp review the other day that someone was like, "Well, would you consider not using plastic straws?" And part of me chuckled, because we use such a high quality compostable straw that you think it's plastic, but it's not. It's compostable. And I kindly responded. I was like, "Hey, just so you know, that straw is compostable. Please make sure you compost it." So finding those types of products, like the compostable, was not even a thing 14 years ago. There was no way you were going to find something like that here in Arizona. So really, I just diligently worked on finding the products, building relationships. Like the paper distributor that I use, of course, is local, because I will only supply local. And her and I have built such a relationship that she will go out and find things for me, because she knows that I am that specific with the products that come through the door. So majority of what we use is compostable, if not recyclable. We we divert over 250 pounds of waste from the landfill every week. That's what we do, just every week. And that's just normal day-to-day business.
It's honestly a really amazing feat. I've got
Well,
a compost bin on my balcony, so I know
yay!
how that looks like. That's a lot of waste diverted.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for saying that. And that's where you're going to see that is where my biggest weakness is. I'm not a businesswoman fundamentally. I'm really not. I run a business, absolutely. But at the core of it, it's a humanitarian. I'm doing the absolute best that I can to make a difference and positive impact with people and products and the environment, and all of it, all of it. So marketing the things that we do, I definitely have some room for growth.
So coming at it from that angle, it looks like your goal at the start wasn't necessarily to build a coffee empire, but more to distribute that really special value to your customers. So what steps or what resources were really helpful in the beginning to get that business up and running?
I'm gonna have to honor myself with this question because I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. And when you find out what you don't know, you can either give up or keep going, you know? Um, and if I had thoughtfully thought the whole process through, I'd have been like, you're not knowledgeable enough to do this. You don't have the resources to do it. And I would have talked myself out of it. However, my tenacity um, and sheer just will to see it through is really why we're here.
Looking back, I mean, obviously, you have to go at it with a growth mindset. You know way more than you do now. If you could tell yourself at the very start of your venture one thing, what would it be?
There'd be two. I would say to enjoy the process. Because a lot of times there's this list, oh, all this has to get done, and all this has to get done. And when it gets done, then I'll be happy. And when I see this number, then I'll get happy. And it's just like, no, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey because it is fast. And then the second word of advice that I would give myself is to ask for help. My gosh, ask for help. I think that there's this, especially with women, there's this feeling of like, oh, Beyonce, independent woman. Yes, yes, 100%. Like you do want to be able to take care of yourself and whatever else. However, there's a tribe of women, and not just women, just people that are willing to help if you ask. So that would be my biggest thing, especially I think as entrepreneurs, we don't think anyone understands us because our minds work different, way different. However, there are people that have journeyed and there are people that can help along the way. So that would be my big thing is just ask for some help.
Is that the same advice you might give to maybe a current entrepreneur that came to you looking for help, or would you have a little bit of a different angle for them?
I mean, I think it's all circumstantial. People come to me all the time and want to know about this part of business or that part of business or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, I think if your cup is full and you're enjoying and remaining light and happy, it makes it so much easier. So the journey is going to have challenges no matter what, like absolutely no matter what. But I think that the perspective that you take with you is really part of the defining moment.
So you've been in business for, you said 14 years, is that right?
We're coming up on 14, yeah.
That's incredible. What would you say is your favorite part of running the business?
It's the interaction with people and the team and the community and you know you've been emailing me. My response time is horrible, absolutely horrible, and I know that. Like I'm not a behind the computer kind of person. Like the paperwork part of it, like all of that is not what I love. What I love is the interaction with people.
What do you wish that people knew about small businesses? Like whether it's like the owners or the people working within it or the challenges that you face. Like if you could just share something with the general population, what would it be?
I I wish that people could make the connection. That connection with the interaction that they have with the person behind the counter and all that encompasses. We go to, let's say, Roosevelt Road, or we go to downtown Flagstaff, or we go to all these cute little blocks and rows, and we're like, this is so cute, and we love it, and we take it all in, and we're like, what is this? That is a small business. It's the culture and the climate that small business owners have created. That's what it is. It's the individuality. And it's not coming from corporate business, and there's nothing wrong with corporate business. However, when we're looking at the eclecticness of the what draws us, that community, it's small business. And I just would really love for us to understand, because if all of us just understood it a little bit more, small businesses would be thriving. Because really, at the end of the day, the power is in the consumer. So when someone gets behind a computer and writes a bad Yelp review, I'm thinking like, I don't think people understand how impactful that can be, how horrible that can impact a small business versus a larger corporation. So it's really just making that connection.
Do you so I know that you came from a teaching background. Did anybody in your family or maybe like in your close friends group have any business operating a business, or were you just completely kind of thrown in there?
I would venture to say I was completely thrown in there. My dad did floor covering, and he was more of the labor side of it. However, it was under his own LLC. And he didn't view himself as a businessman. He viewed himself as a laborer. So even he didn't identify that way. So I wasn't even, if he didn't identify that way, it was hard for me to tap into the fact that my dad was actually a businessman. But he didn't even realize it because he was just out there laying carpet is the way that he saw it. But no, I didn't have any personal relationships of that nature, like a business mentor per se.
Was there any, I know that Arizona's got a few, like we've got our Small Business Administration, we've got Local First. Were there any like groups or organizations that were particularly supportive for you, or did you find help elsewhere?
The community at large, coming and supporting, and that is where we built our momentum. Is we created this safe space, and I know that people saw that and felt it and were drawn to it.
What do you think, and again, I know we kinda touched on this kind of earlier, but what do you think draws people to your cafe? Like, especially, I'm picturing, like, First Fridays when it's just, like, packed, and it's got all that energy, it feels like it's almost buzzing. What do you think makes it so special?
I really think, like I told you, I think it's because it's founded on love and the intentionality, and I think that there's this ambiguous feeling and that we have in the experience. It's an experience because I'm sure there's places that have better coffee or better baked goods or softer couches or stronger Wi-Fi or whatever it is. Like I'm sure of it. I will never proclaim to be the best. There's still lots of areas for growth, but I think that there's just this feeling of love and respect that you get. And you're not going to necessarily be able to put a finger on it until you have a conversation like this. I mean, and the
I'm
coffee is really good.
Coffee is good. I can attest to that. What's your favorite drink or food or, like, favorite thing that you guys serve?
The Phoenix, hands down. The Phoenix is my number one. I have one at least every day. And the way that started is I'd be in meetings and people would be like, Stephanie, what are you drinking? And I would be like, oh, it's blah, 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 blah. Because it didn't even have a name for like, I don't know, over a decade. This is what I would drink. And so finally the team was like, Stephanie, people come to the counter and they're like, we want the drink that Stephanie has. Can you just give it a name? So that's kind of where it came from. So my two drinks, and when I want something cold, is the Phoenix, and my hot drink is the Jefita, which means the girl boss in Spanish. So those are my two drinks.
What's in both of those?
So the Phoenix has got our organic agave. It's got cold brew in it, soy milk, and then on the top I put ground cinnamon. Delicious. The Jefita has agave on it as well. It's got 2 espresso shots. It's got steamed soy milk and then ground raw sugar. Delicious.
Oh my gosh, I'm sipping coffee right now, and I I want even more. You're just making
Come
my
on
mouth water.
over.
I know. I'll have to do a group AMI trip.
Right.
I have just run out of my list of questions. Morgan, if there's anything that you'd like to ask, or Stephanie, anything that you'd like to touch on or share, please both go ahead.
None of us are going to come out of this experience the same. And if we do, I think that it was a waste of an opportunity. So there isn't any one thing that I'm hoping to have changed from this experience holistically. I am hoping to have transitioned into what is next, because it will never be. Everyone keeps saying, I can't wait till it's normal again. It's never going to be normal, guys. Like nothing is going to be normal. We have changed. And the one thing, my hope is that I have grown and I have evolved, and to prepare me for what is next.
Those are some awesome questions, Morgan. Thank you so much. And thanks for your awesome answers, Stephanie. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch on? Feel like anything like you've missed or anything you'd like to share?
I mean, I really want to thank you guys for the thought-provoking questions. It allows me time to reflect and remind me of why we're doing this, and my ask would be is that to share the story, write good reviews, and not from the shop. I mean, yeah, that'd be awesome too. But I mean, for the local business, and I feel that your generation is really, you guys are next up. So create the climate that you guys want to live in. Support the climate that you do and get involved.
something that's close to my heart. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the
You're
time
so welcome.
to speak with us. Where can people go to try your coffee or to learn more about your business?
So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we have our website, easyfairtrade.com. And obviously, I'd prefer if everyone came in and had that fair trade experience.
Thank you again. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome rest of your week.
You too. Talk to you guys later.
Bye. Take care.